That was so close, and now Sejuani's just gonna face chicken tonight. He was looking for more as a huge one comes out from Yagao, and they just combo on a Kanavi, who gets the bailout and will get the first blood here for the team. Elk goes in on to Knight, who is quite low. He's got the stopwatch as Kanavi's going in, gets them both as he goes back into the flag and drag. That is a bit of a disaster. 369, he's here as well. Dominated on the top side, and yes, missing is gonna go down, but JDG, they're just playing with their food. They don't even need to fight BLG at this point. Knight goes in, he's having a ball in this one, and JDG are gonna take down the best one.
Well, 7th time wasn't the charm. BLG couldn't find the answers against JDG. Yeah, the Golden Roaders are Golden Roading, but I mean, they had bulldozed over BLG before. So.
Okay, take your guess on how many times it's going to take for them to actually get the win. I'm going with 13.
A series win, right? Or a game.
13 times.
13.
On the 13th matchup.
Like 2 years from now, they're going to win.
Well, no, we can get another best of 3 in this in the Swiss stage, and then we can get a best of 5.
Yeah. They'll keep meeting.
They still need six additional ones.
Series.
They keep meeting every MSI, a bunch of the LPL.
No, but all jokes aside, I mean, it is glaring, you know, and it must be extremely frustrating for BLG. Yeah. We're going to take a look at some images from that game as well, but JDG, they're just so sharp, right? And they especially know this opponent so very well.
Well, I just love the draft here from JDG. I think a lot of kind of unique picks, bringing out Knight. You know, his pick I think really made a lot of sense. I think this is the first time we've actually seen the Kalista really look good. The Renata, I am such a fan of ranged pairings with the Kalista. I know the traditional pairings are more those melee pairings like Thresh in the past and Nautilus and things like that, but it's so much about having lane dominance, and they crush the 2v2, and the Renata really allows you to do that and play hyper aggressive with the bailout.
Exactly. We saw so many clutch bailouts because they are playing aggressive, they are playing forward, going for those dives. I mean, it started out with the Knight roaming bottom as well, with the Vex, another super unique pick. That's a very bursty champion that you also want to be on the offensive with and not be the one receiving a bunch of the ganks. And JDG, yes, I mean, there's so many times it's been gone over here versus BLG, but there must be a mental edge in addition to how good these players are.
And that's kind of the other side of it. We saw so many regional matchups, and we talked a lot in some of the earlier games. Well, now teams can play with comfort. But there's also these kind of matchups where you can have that mental block.
Discomfort?
Exactly. You can play with a horribly discomfort on stage when you're playing against a team that always beats you. It's, as you say, it's that mental block. And we saw all of the regional matchups thus far have been going the way that they normally go in their own region, right? You know, Liquid maybe looked better in their first game than we saw Energy, but Energy crushed them. Mad looked a lot worse than BDS, excuse me, people thought, but Mad again won, right? JDG, same thing here. So it's really been going to how you expect it to in each region.
Yeah, I think that's a great observation. Not being able to buck the trend there for the regional matchups. And you talked about the Kalista as well, maybe the first successful one or the best one we've seen. Well, it was Ruler, so it was maybe to be expected. But, you know, this guy, he keeps on winning, and he's on the golden road as well, and just so hyper-focused as he has been this entire year.
Yeah, he's pretty good. His team is extremely good as well. He gets an extra like star next to his golden road as well if they win, because they also won the Asian games.
True.
He's driving down the golden road in a Ferrari.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he gets for the Asian
He's got
games.
the extra rims on it, you know.
Yeah.
So
just
I like
checking
it.
Out.
Him and Kanavi.
Hit my ride.
Yeah, I like it. I love it.
Kanavi also in that game, by the way. I feel like you're right. Every game, I'm trying to give credit to the junglers.
That's fine.
Like, oh, man,
that's fine, but they don't. Usually,
work.
they're not like underappreciated. Usually, right? Or do you think they still are?
Maybe I have a chip
They're
on my shoulder.
overappreciated.
yeah.
Let's take away credit from these junglers.
Well, calm down, freak. Don't nerf my roll too much.
Oh, I love it. Talking about
I'll come for the volley bear.
talking about rolling and drawing, maybe. Let's take a look at the Swiss bracket and what it looks like now, because we have all of our, except for one, all of our results, so we can see the possibilities. That 2-0 pool is insane.
So, yeah.
Should we see what we could get? Should we do some random number generators for the 2-0? So we'll do it. You know, LNG will be number 1, and we'll go like that. So I'm just gonna random number generator. And
so is 2 Gen G? You're going that way?
2 is Gen G.
Okay,
yeah. All right. So first one I got is 1. So it'd be LNG against 4. So it'd be LNG versus JDG, and then we'd have G2 versus Gen G on this little random number generator.
Ooh, that would be pretty juicy. All right, are we gonna go down the line and keep on going?
The 1-in-1 pool gets pretty crazy here.
I think I got you covered. I think we're going to do one of these.
Yeah, give me the double NA versus EU. That would actually be so
and
much
then we
fun.
do another one of these.
I think that is what the Western fans would love to see. I mean, NA is always cheering to get EU, and EU is always cheering to NA. So I always think it's so funny.
Or we could just mix it up since Cloud9 Mad. Now we can let Energy have a swing at Mad.
Very
we'll move
generous
them
of
around,
you.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, there are some massively strong teams, and the strength of teams are pretty disparate in some of these pools. I mean, the 2-0 pool, everyone's just really good. The 1-1 pool, though, there is definitely, you are terrified of BLG, you're going to be terrified of Weibo, you're going to be terrified of T1, you're going to be terrified of the loser of Dplus, as well as KT. And the shocking
I got you
part,
covered. I'm pretty, that's my,
I think so,
that's
too.
my bet.
But that is going to be, well, KT would move up into the 1-1, and then DK would be in 0-2, which is just crazy for BDS and TL.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a doomer at all, but like even the 2-0 pool looks, you got that 2-0 if you're G2, right? And you're a very good performing team from the LEC, but you've got some impossible matchup, and then you drop down into even more impossible matchups where you got to beat everyone to win the thing. So
yeah, I mean, it's hard. G2 has had some really close, really exciting games, but at the end of the day, they beat the 4th seed from LPL, the 4th seed from the LCK. So now the competition is just going to get that much harder for them. It's really them and then the 3 tournament favorites that most people have had. You know, LNG, most people had as that number 3 team, and then Genji and JDG, of course, are massive tournament favorites.
Yeah. We're about to get to the best part of this format, which are the best of series, where you're like, oh yeah, it is a privilege to be in the 2-0 group, but those are going to be hard to actually finish, and getting across the best of series finish line to actually escape.
yes, sir. Now let's move on into our last game of the day to see who ends up also in the 1-1 pool to finish us off, and in the 0-2 pool. And I think it's pretty grueling to see if you're an LCK fan, but because we have DK up versus KT, and for either of these teams to go down to the 0-2 pool, I think is not something that anyone would have predicted.
Yeah, and we knew coming in there was definitely a big chance of like some of these hard matchups being drawn and this sort of thing happening. But honestly, we had Huni on the desk earlier, and we had him in the caster room, and he was pretty hard favored for KT in this matchup. But I'm still rooting for my boy Canyon. I want the Canyon ShowMaker, reunion. I want them to return to glory.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for it.
Well, and the craziest thing is, I would say the team that most analysts I talked to actually were pinpointing as their dark horse favorite to win the whole tournament was Dplus KIA. That was the team that people were all pointing to and said, well, if it's not going to be the big 3, it's probably this team. And everyone is assuming now you're going to be 0-2, 1 game away from being the first team out.
Yeah, it is crazy. And it was so close also yesterday. If we take a look at maybe the Ocean Soul fight, which lost them the game. I think you have more context now that you saw G2 also play versus Weibo, right, in terms of that game. But regardless, it was super close. After, of course, a mishap at Baron as well. So what do you take away from this game?
I mean, I think that, if you are Dplus KIA, it's one of those things where this was a game that became incredibly close. I think a lot of their mistakes were actually earlier in the game. They did get that Baron steal from G2 to be able to claw it back. But I think G2 just had a really good setups around the objectives, snowballing the objective. The fact that it was Soul, especially Ocean Soul here against this poke comp, really kind of eliminated a lot of the options for Dplus KIA. So I think you can kind of cope a little bit and say, hey, well, that maybe took away a lot of our chances. But the reality is, I think they have to be a lot more clean, a lot more consistent around their objective setups, and they can't afford to get behind, because if G2 hadn't had that Baron throw, this game wouldn't have even really been close.
Yeah, it wouldn't have even been within reach like it was in this one. And, he didn't have Smite in that one, but the previous Dragon fight, they actually had, a shot at trying to stop that Dragon stacking a little bit earlier, so, yeah. And
now they're up versus KT, an opponent they know very well. They had a match versus BLG yesterday to bring them into the World Championship, which was insane. And actually, they held their own very, very well, just not well enough against BLG, but I think that's to be forgiven.
Yeah, this was a magnificent match to witness live, and if it wasn't for some heroic plays from Bin, from Elk, the reaction time from Elk. Some of these engages where they're coming out of the brush, and Lehends had a really good look at him. Elk is able to disengage not only from him, but also from the Zac follow-up. I just still look at the draft, and I'm like, Talia Zac as a mid-jungle is a little bit flimsy, but they still had so many good plays and made a lot, especially of the early game.
Absolutely.
Good. Especially getting aiming on his Kaisa.
Yeah, and I think honestly, if it was any other top laner in the world that they're playing against besides Bin, I think that KT win this game. I think that there's no one else here that could have played that game the way that he did. He was such a difference maker on the K'Sante, finding so many Q3 flashes, getting picks on key members, including aiming in some of these fights and in some of these situations around mid lane that, you know, yes, they're going to be disappointed, and yes, there's going to be things to review. Maybe they want to change up things in the draft, but still, you have to feel like that would have got you across the finish line against almost everyone else in the event.
It's true. We did go back to see and check the tape where exactly it went wrong for KT. Let's take a look.
But I think more important than our rivalry, than the LPL versus LCK, I have to sit here and be impressed by KT because, again, it's been a while. You know, as you were saying, through playoffs, through what we've seen of KT, you know, coming through as 3rd seed, we're getting that regular season power, and that's what impresses me the most. That's what gets me excited for the rest of Worlds, and at least the rest of their run, regardless of win or loss.
Did we get it?
You notice how he naturally slipped it in?
Yeah.
He thinks he's so slick.
slick.
LPL caster hyping up KT.
Crazy.
It's match fixing.
Yeah.
No,
Oh my God, don't go that far.
Building to the get excited.
I was just checking, but we are getting into the draft, so I'm going to kick it over to our casters and hope we get an entertaining finisher for this day too.
Thank you so much, and Kobe and Azale. That was really, really good. And, you know, it was very natural from Asterix. I have to give him some credit. Like, if you're going to curse that well, you got to be good at it. So he's got that going for him. We'll have to wait and see if it affects KT tonight because they're going up against DK, who have been struggling. And what are you expecting from this one, Wolf?
I mean, this is going to be a series where I think drafting matters so much. And I keep saying series because we don't do best of ones in our region, but it is a best of one series, okay, so to speak. And I mean, we've seen a lot of different priorities out of Korea. Once again, Canyon is going to be the target here. This is very common in the LCK because Canyon is the one who leads the charge. It's feast or famine with Dplus KIA, whether Canyon gets early leads or not. He's lost the Lee Sin, he's lost the Poppy, and we'll see what comes next here, the final ban for KT. Meanwhile, banning Rumble against Kiin, something we were surprised about yesterday because Kiin's Rumble wasn't so great in LCK Summer. Perhaps in scrims he's improved it because that's 2 times in a row it's been taken away.
Yeah, and you see this Kalista ban coming out. Deft, another one of those guys who were talking about Ruler in the past. You generally don't want to give the Kalista over to these guys, and aiming, you were looking at some stats actually, Wolf, and showing how aiming hasn't had the best run of it with the Kalista. They don't want to give that one over, but this does mean that the Azir is going to be first picked here for the side of DK.
The Azir going over to ShowMaker, denying it from BDD, one of his most iconic champions, and it is taken away. The Talia, his other, taken away in the banning phase, and we'll see a priority here on the Xayah, it looks like here for aiming over his Kaisa that he's much more famed for, a pick he utilized during the AP Kaisa era and of course during the Shiv era as well. And Lehends, his Alistar, so incredibly strong, even looking to hover it here over the Rakan, because we've seen this utilized even by Kellin himself on the other side against Azir shuffles. Don't think that's necessarily why it's being picked up, but it has been utilized by Dplus, ironically enough, in that same scenario. They'll take it over the Rakan here. Let's see if Canyon's going to prioritize a jungle now with so much already taken away.
Yeah, I think some co-streamers out there might be happy that Kellen's not going to have a chance to jump onto the Alistar once again. But to be honest, you know, that can happen. That kind of thing can happen. So I'm excited to see maybe Kellin can turn it around for this one and handle this Alistar maybe on the other side of the matchup. The Jax, very highly prioritized here for Canna, so they're going to get him onto that.
Yeah, interesting to see the Jax with this much priority, even over Renekton here that has been in the LCK paired more commonly with the Azir. But when you see the Jarvan come through, it all makes sense. You've got a nice setup here in terms of combos. Engage is good, peel is good. And BDD is going to go back to an older favorite of his, the Orianna. And the Orianna Syndra meta back in 2021. He opted into the Syndra most of the time. We'll be going for the Orianna, the more winning champion in this tournament this time around. So we do have things starting to kind of settle in terms of priority here. Dplus can try to target Kiin a little bit to protect this Jax priority, of course, and on the other side of things, 80 carries could be taken away from Deft. Deft loves to play prio picks, the Kalista, the Caitlyn, Draven. Any pick that gives him prio and allows him to push the lane has been
in the past.
Lucian, Nami. That's exactly Deft's MO, so I really like this angle here from KT Rolster.
And we're going to have Cassante banned. I know a lot of you out there are very sad about that. There's no Cassante in this game, unfortunately. But yeah, that's pretty good. I think you want to take that one off the board in terms of like a blind pick you could get and then maybe save the last pick for Cuzz. He is a guy that can pick some of those wonky characters in the jungle. We saw the Zac already. Let's see what this next ban against Deft is going to be. At least that's what we're expecting. No, it's just going to be the Renata, and you talked about this before. Kellin, a great Renata player, and they're going to take that one away from him.
Yeah, Renata, fantastic for Kellin. Also works well if you're trying to do one of those all-in lanes. They don't have the Kalista, but we have seen Renata and Draven. Varus, another pick that's been used with it. Ashe as well. So just kind of saying, we could take away the Caitlyn. That's the #1 pick next to Kalista that allows them to push the lane. Renata kind of weakens some of the other ones that are left. We'll see the Akali banned away here. We have seen Kiin play this top side. It is kind of common in the LCK, albeit not recently. So just keeping that one under wraps, it is so strong into the Azir.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think, you know, as one of those edge pocket picks for Kiin, trying to take that one away, there is still a lot left available in the top side, so Renekton seems pretty natural there to go for on the side of Kiin. They did not want to have to deal with the Akali into the Jax, something that Kiin has just destroyed many a top laner on in the past. So they take that one away. The Renekton comes out. What is the bottom lane for DK?
Will they be so bold as to lock the Ezreal? Something we've seen Death find success on in 2022's World Championship. The Ziggs!
Oh,
the Ziggs! It's happening, man!
It's happening! Oh, man! Now, Deft is one of the guys in the LCK that has picked this one up. Now, we haven't been super happy with this build, but that's fine. The champion itself is really strong. And you know what? I mean, it's a lot of magic damage. You're going to be relying on kind of the Jax and the Jarvan to toe up the AD damage, or rather just the attack damage. But the Ziggs coming out is just huge, and they're going to use that to try to shut down. It's so good into Xayah. Like, it is amazing
so good into Xayah. And you know what else it pairs well with is Cataclysm from Jarvan. So you can set that up now. We will see the Sejuani to get locked in here for Cuzz. This has been one of his best picks throughout 2023. We saw KT Rolster since 2018 in the LCK really struggle to return to form. It was 2022 at the end of the year where we saw a little bit of a spike. Wasn't enough to send them to Worlds. They were ultimately defeated by DRX, who did win the entire thing. But this has kind of been KT's biggest year in such a long time, and this Cuzz Sejuani has been a huge part of this. In terms of Lehends, Alistar came up at the end of summer. Lehends was one of the best Alistar players at it. But otherwise, you're looking at aiming on Xayah versus Deft Ziggs. Does feel like a pretty big mismatch. And I'm going to have to go with Canna on Jax, Canyon on this Jarvan as a much stronger setup here, a much stronger combo. And I feel like Dplus got more of what they wanted, whereas KT feel like they're still adjusting to this new meta.
Yeah, absolutely. Just trying to bring in the new meta in some of these picks. This is the first Ziggs we have had in the bottom lane in an international event since MSI 2022. So that was last year, about a year and a half ago, right? The Ziggs, it has power. Can Deft prove it in this matchup? I am so excited to find out.
It is going to be his third time playing the champion this year. He's 1-1 on the pick, but one he has gone to in the past, and it's a really niche pick. Dplus come very prepared for this. It's a pick we've all been talking about backstage as we think this is so strong. It's definitely going to come out in this tournament. It's coming out tonight.
It's coming out tonight, and this DK versus KT Rolster matchup is also beginning right now. As the fan cheers. Oh my God. They are going absolutely nuts out there. That is amazing. The DK up against KT matchup. We've seen this many times in the LCK, and KT obviously having a fantastic showing in the regular season. Not quite able to drive it home when it mattered most in terms of finals, in terms of playoffs, but we know what this team is capable of.
For KT Rolster, this is such a critical moment because we talk about magic numbers on the Swiss stage. The magic number to get out is 3. but the tragic number is 3 as well. You drop this one, you go 0-2, you're going to have to win several best of 3s in order to get out of the tournament. And KT, they haven't lifted that Worlds trophy like Damwon did in 2020. They haven't been to Worlds in 5 years, and the fans are lucky enough to be able to see them locally here live in Korea after having a dominant year, yet not being able to make either domestic finals in the LCK. And I think for KT, this is such a critical moment. You went 0-1 at the start of this Swiss stage. You are the favorite here. You went 2-0 in regular season against Dplus, and you want to bring it back now.
Absolutely. It's huge. And guys, you know what's also huge? You can connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the exclusive experimentation emote. Make sure not to miss this, guys. That emote is so cool. And you can just get it. If you just connect to your account, it's that easy with Prime Gaming. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this one does play out. I talked a bit about builds, so we've seen a lot from Deft down the, you know, Rod of Ages and Seraph's Embrace. I think that Ziggs doesn't really need that. Note that he also went for the cookies in this one, did not go for cut down, especially against Renekton, Sejuani, even Alistar. I feel like you get a lot of value with that, but just going to forego that here. And like you said before, Wolf, he's had success, and it's especially good into Xayah, who loves when champions are attacking her, when they're going very aggressively into her feather. She can pull it back and get a lot of value on the disengage. Ziggs is the opposite of that, right? Yeah. He's got the range, he's got a lot of poke damage, and Xayah is going to struggle. Early on the lane, it's not going to be that big of a deal, but as the Ziggs gets items, I'll be very curious to see if aiming can handle the heat.
Side note, if you couldn't tell, Valdez is a Ziggs main. Just had to put that one out there.
Oh yeah, and shout out to our boy Aux as well, recently joining the LCK. He is actually the original Ziggs main. This guy taught me everything I know. So we've both been playing it for a long time. Just wanted to shout him out, and just really happy that Deft is trying to mix it up. I got a little worried when I saw, okay, Xayah's just prioritized once again, but yeah, good to see some new stuff coming out.
Yeah, leaving the Xayah and having the answer, definitely very cool to see. BD taking a lot of damage here as ShowMaker pushes the wave in, and we'll have that additional prio. Canyon going to go for topside scuttle here with Ziggs and Leona in position to try to potentially contest bottom side here. We could see a double scuttle attempt, but it is going to be tough to pull off. Lehends is going to be able to corral Kellin out of here, and it's not going to happen. I also want to mention, of course, you do Comet to try to continue to poke and get that additional lane lead here as Ziggs, but often you feel a lot of pressure and have to back often if you do get ganked, so you have teleport. Also, Ziggs has incredible wave clear for the later parts of the game, does tons of damage to turrets, so that teleport choice is kind of a Ziggs exclusive here in the bottom lane right now because you don't get value out of heal. You're not going to want to have cleanse because if you're getting caught by CC, you're not playing Ziggs right.
Yeah, he's all about zone control, right? You put down the mines, you use that satchel very expressively for when you're in danger, right? You don't want to use that to poke. So Deft, he definitely knows how to play this champ, and you know, I think it's the perfect place for it as well. As we do see a bit of a 1v1 in the top side, Canna has played quite a lot of Jax, quite a lot of Renekton as well, and quite a lot of Jax versus Renekton. Not too surprising, but yeah, excited to see what he can get done in the top side against Kiin. This has been a matchup we've seen many times in the LCK.
And if you're someone who watches, you know, Worlds, it is unique to see a new team here in KT Rolster, right? We didn't get DRX, obviously defending champions. The roster completely changed, but right now, Dplus, if you think about them having a title, first time for KT, it feels like maybe Dplus are the massive favorites going into this one. But it's been a rough year for them. They've experimented with changing their support up. It's been shot calling issues for this roster. And ShowMaker, it feels like for a long time, lost his mojo, but at least at the start of this game, putting that pressure on in the mid lane, looking good. Teleports are now traded. See if Kiin can make something happen here with level 6. I don't think so. We'll just put that additional pressure on. But Dplus here, I like the draft, but KT has just constantly had their number this year long.
Yeah, absolutely. I like what you say about DK. It's so true. I mean, it feels like they have the tools, but maybe just not the connection to get it going. The shot calling issue has been there, and you know, that first matchup against G2, it did look like they were able to turn it around at the Baron, but it was just barely not enough as G2 just straight up outplayed them by the end of it. So willing to see if DK can kind of turn this one around in a really tough matchup in the draw that we did have, of course, which was pretty fun to watch. As yeah, I love that ShowMaker also takes away the Azir. He's not like the most flashy Azir out of all of our Korean mids that we do have here from the LCK specifically. But to take it away, I mean, he knows what he's doing on that champ, so excited to see what he can get done.
Yeah, it is certainly going to be very impactful in this game. Now, Cuzz does not have level 6, so his ability to affect this top lane is pretty small at the moment. Dragon has spawned, mind you, and right now you do see Canyon hovering around the bottom side of the river here. We'll check vision. It's a very tense moment because neither team has really strong control over either top or bottom, so much so they can actually take these objectives, nor can they start them. And whoever starts it first will inherently be at somewhat of a disadvantage unless you can further that edge. So this is going to be a slow and passive early game here as Kiin just continues to try to put the pressure onto Canna here top side. Living away at that first plate.
Yeah, no, he's going to be putting on the pressure as much as he possibly can. Deft on the Ziggs. Not really able to get too much pressure onto the turret plates just yet. And he has not used a single biscuit. Would be nice if he had cut down, but it's probably the last time I'll mention it. Probably. I can't guarantee it. But we'll see. We'll see. As you were talking about those ganks, Deft is level 6. He is going to get comboed here by Lehends, and Ignited is going to use that satchel very late. Does flash onto the backside of it. In comes Cuzz looking to force it, and it looks like he gets it with the permafrost. First blood onto the Ziggs in the bottom lane as Cuzz comes up with a huge gank.
Oh man, Deft teleportless, now flashless as well. Canyon's just a little bit too slow here on the play. Cuzz has his ultimate available, and they can set this up so easily here on the overextended Ziggs. And that should be able to be the first objective here for the side of KT. Rolster, again, plates getting worn down here on the top side. Kiin picking up money without even being involved. Even going to try to proxy this wave will be unsuccessful, but KT not going to start the Drake up just yet. They're going to take their win, reset here, and take the gold. As we take a look at this fight one more time, they get the knock up here. Lehends on this Alistar sets up the combo. There's the stun. Even though the flash and satchel charge is almost enough, Cuzz is able to buffer this and make it work. The ultimate comes out, and Deft, no flash now. His teleport down, can't quickly return to lane.
Yeah, not quite respecting the ability for them to chain that CC, and Deft does get run down the lane. Now Canyon does get the back out of KT, so they try to go for this Drake here. The Ziggs, even early on, can try to control this choke, and let's see if they can actually get it done. Lehends trying to threaten, but see the rest of the team is just backing away, and they will give this one over. So DK at least able to pick up the first Drake of the game.
Yeah, quick to respond, return to that objective after KT back, and first objective does go their way. In terms of gold, it's a small one, but it's early game, so it's quite significant here. Rift Herald will be the next point of contention here. He's got to be so respectful as Deft now. No flash. Satchel charge gives you a little bit of a leash, but it's not always alone going to be enough. See how quickly he can just toss these abilities in and take this wave, though, and then back away. Wanting to push the issue even further, in fact, down here in this lane. And this is the first real damage Deft is going to maybe attempt to get on this turret, but no plates for the Ziggs.
Yeah, and he is going into the Seraph's Embrace build. Eventually, he's going to delay the amount of damage that he can do pretty significantly until he's at about 3 items. You would also love, especially on this patch, the plates are still 175, right? You would love to push in and get some plates and actually threaten some turret kills, but not able to get that pressure going on the bottom side as Aiming Lehends have held their own and gotten some help from a nice little Cuzz to join them down the bottom side.
Yeah, Cuzz is there. Kiin's got prio. BDD gets control. He's now picked up his Merc Treads. And things are going pretty swimmingly here for KT Rolster's early game. Yes, the Ziggs will be a problem later on. The ability for the Jarvan to engage is potentially going to be a problem later on too, but so far KT just kind of riding the momentum. They would have loved to grab that early Drake, but in terms of gold right now, sitting pretty. And Aiming's just catching these waves, and no real damage done to the turret means you're not worried about Ziggs' passive. You're not worried about that additional damage coming through.
Yeah, just chilling out, farming it back and forth. It is...
it's an LCK game, Valdez.
You know, we're 10 minutes in, and we just cast JDG BLG, and I was like, hey, 7 minutes, we haven't had action. What's going on? We're definitely going to get action, and we did. I can't really say the same about this one, Wolf. I mean, you know, I'm watching this, I'm like, I don't know. Because DK, they have Jax, they have Azir, they have Ziggs. Why would you ever want to fight before you have 2-3 items? I mean, obviously there are some spikes. You've got the Jarvan, you've got the Azir. There are plays you could make, but will they? I mean, that's my question.
I mean, it will often rely on KT overextending and putting themselves in harm's way for a big Cataclysm or Flag and Drag engage onto BDD, for example, but no one's really been under pressure, obviously, Cuzz having to flash early to secure that kill, but otherwise all flashes up for KT. Who do you pick? Who do you find? Kellin roaming topside here. But there's a ward in that brush. It's going to be hard for him to make something happen with this level 6. KT identify this, drop the Rift Herald in mid, and will further some additional gold here for this Orianna. Pick up some plates.
Yeah, not going to overextend for this. Just some plates over to Cuzz. BDD going to miss out on those. ShowMaker does take that one out, and yeah, like you said, you know, Kellin showing on the top side, trying to make something happen. I like the idea, especially with Leona Jax, and they do clear that one out.
Cuzz and Lehends are waiting here for Deft, and he knows it. He's not going to teleport back to that turret just to get dove, so Plate Gold's going over to aiming this entire time, and Deft is missing massive farm. It's a good read from Deft and Dplus KIA that there's a potential dive here, but this is so much money going into aiming's pocket, and this Ziggs is going to take so long to come online. All the farm denied, all the plates picked up here. And man, this is not going to be an easy one for Dplus to pull off. We like the draft, but the situation is not so great for the Ziggs. It's going to take a long time before he's going to be relevant.
Yeah, aiming just essentially catching up with that one in terms of the CS, and as you mentioned, the 2 turret plates pretty huge there for the side of aiming, so he's getting pretty much a free lane to just farm it out. He's the Xayah, that's what he would like to do. Now we do have Lehends on the top side of the map. The other side of the Rift support trying to make a play up here on the top side. Kiin's taking a lot of damage up there underneath the turret. Has not gone into the Dominus, has his flash available, so just threatening it, but not actually making action happen, Wolf.
Yeah, that was a very close call there. If he committed any further, that would have been the end of him with Canna nearby, flash and ultimate available. Jarvan's engage range is insanely high. Kiin will walk away with his life. They don't commit. Lehends looking for ShowMaker.
Little shuffle away, and he will be okay. And we do have the straight coming up here. It is a Chemtech, but you do want to pick these up as early as possible. We've seen teams run away with 4 Drakes and it be game-changing. I'm sure DK knows a little bit about that. So, yeah, just going to wait out for it, and maybe Deft can hit his Leandries before we do get into this fight. I think that would be pretty much the one time you would want to actually fight over this as DK. Otherwise, you know, if KT make a mistake, maybe you make a play for it, but otherwise I would expect KT to take this one down.
He does have it, and he's got, of course, Unleashed Teleport. Just going to teleport back to the safety of his turret here before this fight does break out. But as you mentioned, this is the big one. This is the fight where you can see Dplus really look for a straight-up 5v5 fight. Look at the damage starting to come through on that Leandries here. It's going to take time. They can whittle away, and he's got his ultimate as well.
Yeah, they're trying to force this ult out early. Kellin is not going to hit it. He gets root down. We have the teleport coming in, and Lehends gets the double knockup, trying to get this one going, but that's going into a choke. They don't want to do that. Lehends getting pretty low, and he is going to back out of this one, but KT take control of the river. DK considering getting on in here, some low health bars on the Lehends and aiming, and that's the bomb. Forces the Featherstorm, and now aiming does not have that ultimate for the follow-up engage from DK.
Slow and steady wins the dragon here for Dplus. Double Leandries, and they are chipping away at these health bars. Sure, Kellin's engage was very lackluster, but it won't ultimately matter.
Oh, and they're looking for a bit more. Cuzz and Kiin overextending quite a bit, and the poke damage is coming out here. Some low health bars. You talked about the Leandries. Finally, they are going to find ShowMaker in the front, but there's just no follow-up on that one. So DK, a lot of skirmishing here, and finally they commit onto the Croc, but they don't take out Kellin. They don't have the damage to take him out, and it's 3 kills going straight into the pockets of KT.
Oh, really rough overextension here for KT. They got the slow damage, but they do push way too far in. And that is going to be another set of gold going over to KT. I mean, it's a 3,000 gold lead. Sure, you lost the objective. It is Mountain Soul, which, by the way, you start stacking those up, you're going to be able to deal with a lot of that Ziggs poke later on if KT start winning this game here, or winning the objectives, rather, from here. They're certainly winning the game right now, despite the dragon lead for Dplus. But they just got a little bit too trigger-happy on the Jax. And that's one of the awkward things as we take a look at the MasterCard lane economy snapshot here. Small lead for BDD, pretty large leads everywhere else. But I was going to say, one of the disjointed parts about this composition is you can use the Jax, you can use the Jarvan to engage, and you can set up bombs with it. But if you don't actually have the combo set up, it's hard to actually chase teams down after you poke them away. It's usually much better to just huddle around the objective, take your wins where you can, and force KT to come to you. You got a little bit excited on this one. No KT puns intended, but this really ends up being, unfortunately, KT turning this one around in a massive way. Kiin narrowly escapes here, and the Cataclysm works against Dplus KIA.
Yeah. So KT able to totally take over the game from here. Now let's see. I mean, they're trying to make a stake for this second Rift Herald, but Cuzz is in the pit, or he's nearby. Kiin and Canna going head-to-head down on the bottom side here. BDD not sure who to support, as ShowMaker kind of in the same boat. Kiin looking to turn onto ShowMaker, but Kiin is left all alone. They can't get over the wall. He's so far in there, and DK will take down the Croc in this one. And there you have it. So, pretty interesting fight. I don't think that Kiin necessarily had to go that deep, and Canyon also picked up the Rift Herald.
Yeah, Canyon picks up the Rift Herald, so this is pretty huge for Dplus. I mean, it's going to be one step that they need, like one step in a series of many if they want to get back into this game. But look, they have 2 Drake lead. If they could turn this into some additional prio, perhaps with the Rift Herald, I mean, the timing of this doesn't work out too great for them. It's only 3 minutes, or nearly 3 minutes away from that 3rd Dragon for them. But if they can get Mountain Soul Point, buy a lot of time, they have a Jack side lane win condition where they can slow this game down, buy time for the Ziggs to come online. It's definitely not all doom and gloom, and that was a big mistake from KT that Dplus are going to feel a little bit better about after this.
Yeah, it gives them a foothold into making this one a little bit more even. You talked about comeback mechanics and the potential to just wombo combo your way back into a game from 9K down. We do know G2 were able to do that a little bit earlier on today. DK definitely have a pretty similar combo. I think they may need a little bit more items in terms of this one. You got the Azir, the Ziggs, and the Jax only sitting on their first ones for now. But that's the Ziggs potential right there with the Rift Herald.
Yeah, just to explain for those who don't know what happened there, the Rift Herald charges down the turret to sub 25%. Ziggs can blow it up with his satchel instantly, so that's exactly what Deft is looking for. Uses his passive, uses his satchel. Now this fight here is going in the favor of Dplus. Kiin thinks he can get into the backline to perhaps threaten ShowMaker, but Canna is waiting, tracking him, knows he's likely to try to flank this, and of course ShowMaker has self-peel. Kiin does a ton of damage here, but it's not ultimately enough. Unfortunately, for the side of KT, and Kiin's flank is a bust. They do end up giving over the Rift Herald, and with Ziggs' passive, that's more gold. That gold lead for KT here is still there, but you can see it's starting to shrink a little bit.
Yeah, it's starting to level out just a little bit. Gold difference over time, powered by AWS. And, I mean, this is probably going to slow down from here, to be quite honest. I don't think that we are going to see too much action with no Drake and no Rift Herald on the map, but who knows? I mean, let's see what they have in the tank. For now, we just have a little fight over this Rift Scuttler here. And Deft just farming away. He is going to be building towards that Seraph's Embrace, which eventually he will be doing some big damage. Not going to go for the Shadow Flame just yet. We'll be curious to see the rest of his itemization.
Yeah, that is going to be quite interesting to see. And obviously the Nashor's Tooth for ShowMaker is going to really improve his damage output for objective control. 40 seconds to go on this Mountain Drake. Doesn't look like he's going to have it just in time for this yet. Doesn't have teleport, just teleported back in. Would have been a huge spike for him, but nonetheless, Dplus absolutely want to fight over this. And if they can control these choke points, they have a Leona, they have an Azir. It's hard for KT to get in here and engage. It's hard for Orianna to set up a ball. And they have the burn damage that they could just keep landing that poke, and that's exactly what Deft needs to do.
Yeah, the burn damage is huge. I mean, double Leandri's against Renekton, Sejuani, Alistar is just really oppressive, and I think that as long as you can keep them at arm's length, DK will be happy to just continue to poke them down.
Gotta hit it, though.
Waiting in the bush. Kellin does get engaged on, but he's Leona. It's really difficult to die on that champion, as now KT moving in as a 5-man unit. Kellin just going to run away from this one. DK will give them the river and continue to try to poke them out.
Ball placement here, fantastic for BDD. Now they have gained control of the choke point themselves. All the poke missing from Deft there, and KT just kind of ride out the storm here. Double control wards there on that pixel brush. It's really difficult to actually aim that poke now, but it is landing.
There's the poke. It's coming on in over the top, but you can see some shields helping them along the way. Although the damage has been done. Canna also on the flank here on the right side. He's looking for that perfect angle, and KT don't seem to have any idea this is coming in. Let's see if he can find the perfect timing to go for this engage. Where is he? Okay, there he is. They finally find him, and now he's not able to get much damage done at all. Flashes, hops over the wall, just trying to gain some space for the team as DK. They're looking to take down this dragon, and they should be able to get it. Lehends not able to get in, and we will have a fight where nobody dies.
A lot of the poke didn't land for Deft, but the threat of Canna kept KT really honest, and the fact that they had to stay back in that choke and wanted to avoid the Counter-Strike bought just enough time. They see him at the last possible second there, but he buys enough time for Dplus to actually secure the dragon and get out. Now it's Soul Point here, despite the gold deficit. Again, that Mountain Soul is going to be so impactful in this game, especially for Jarvan and Leona in the front line with those additional shields they're going to get. So this is pretty massive for Dplus, and I think if Cuzz's ultimate actually connects with Canna there, perhaps they at least get the Jax as a kill, but I think Dplus would have been happy for the sacrifice to get the dragon. Not only do they get the dragon, but Canna escapes.
Yeah, we have the win probability powered by AWS. You can see that it is still very even. Take note, though, that it did dip down to like 80% in favor of KT, but since then has tapered off pretty significantly.
Yeah, you know, those dragons really do mean a lot, and it is going to be a question of, you know, will Dplus' scaling on the Ziggs ultimately become relevant enough to actually overdo KT's lead right now? So he's working towards that Void Staff. The tier completed now, and still no second item here for ShowMaker. Once he gets that Nashor's Tooth, that is really going to up his ability to apply the Leandries and do additional damage to the front line that KT is trying to use to close the gap. Because aiming on this Xayah, he's low range. We've been talking about it all game long. Getting out-poked by Deft, getting out-poked by ShowMaker. This is a problem. They need to keep them at arm's length.
Yeah, absolutely. Ziggs, one of the best Leandries applier as well. Could even potentially go into like an Oblivion Orb if he wants to cut down on some of the healing that we do have on the side of KT. We'll have to wait and see, because obviously he's great at applying that as well. KT right now just controlling the top river, just waiting to see if anyone will, overstep their boundaries, because this is one of the ways that KT actually get and engage on their terms, right? We talk about this all the time, the vision control, and you can see that Lehends and Cuzz looking for something. They try to get in onto Canyon, but going pretty deep for that one.
Yeah, a little bit deep on that. Won't be able to commit any further. Cuzz just going to back out here. This is a very tense game state, because I don't want to say KT's comp is on a clock necessarily, but you've got a Jax who's going to be a big problem in the side lane that Kiin won't necessarily be able to match as this game goes longer. You're dealing with double scaling AP threats with the Leandries, and KT don't have any Drakes, so this game is just going to go longer basically by default. As Kiin looking to get out of this one.
Ooh, pretty close on that, but Canna not going to continue on that one. At this point, the Renekton can kind of trade. You know, it depends on the situation if he gets some damage on in, but Canna pretty confident to try to take this 1v1 if Kiin does want it at this point. Only up a level is Kiin, so still pretty even in that side lane. The Void Staff completed for the Ziggs, and you talked about the double AP scaling threats. I mean, that's going to be super important, especially when you are dealing with, you know, a Sejuani that's going to be extremely tanky. You want something to chip through, or rather chunk through, the magic resist on the side of KT that they will definitely build into Azir and Ziggs.
Yeah, definitely true. See BDD with 2 rods completed here, but does not quite have that second item yet. And this is a really scary moment when you consider the AP threats are so big here for Dplus, and 90 seconds to go on this dragon. BDD would love to finish that second item here before this fight breaks out. But, I mean, if Dplus get this, the game turns really on its head quite sniffly. We talked about, oh, we're one step closer to that soul, one step closer to the soul. This is the soul this time around. You can see in terms of the gold here, aiming and Kiin massively ahead, but doesn't necessarily matter if they can't get to their opponents to hit them, and that's been the big problem here for aiming.
Yeah, actually utilizing the items that you will have is something we'll have to wait and see. I mean, he is a Xayah with Flash and Cleanse. There is a way, like, again, if this fight goes in the right direction and they can get a favorable engage for him to get in the faces of DK and actually deal that damage. The problem does arise, you know, from behind. Perhaps you do not get it going as Cuzz. Just going to steal away the red. gets big oohs and ahs from the crowd. You know, we're not used to this amount of action, Wolf. I don't know if I can handle it.
Well, KT now trying to get some additional oppressive vision around this this Drake, because this is such a critical fight. We do see no death cap yet for BDD, and this is a problem. They want to have that. Okay, picks it up now, just backed for it. And this is going to be so important for KT. They can't actually hold on to this choke point without BDD being here. He's not going to commit teleport. He's walking down slowly. We'll be able to clear this wave. But time works against KT once Deft starts hitting that poke. Once ShowMaker starts hitting it, they got to pick somebody. They've got to do it fast.
Trying to go in down that canyon. He's just going to flash away. He says, no, I don't, you know, this is not how we win fights, right? I'm just going to use this flash. It's still a win to the side of KT. Now you don't have that engaged threat from the Jarvan as much. Obviously still can find some angles. And Deft, essentially, you can see what DK are trying to do. They're just trying to throw bombs over the wall, throw soldiers in. They're going to find BDD, and that is a huge amount of poke damage. It's not going to be game-changing, though, BDD going to run around to his team.
See if he wants to teleport back into this one. It's very awkward for him. He's super low. Looks like that's what he's going to do, but this buys so much time for Dplus to now get on top of this dragon here, looking for Canna on the flank. We'll get his counter-strike out here. Again, time working against KT. There's that teleport.
And you can see the amount of poke that Deft is already putting out. BDD is back into the fight. They want to pull the trigger right now. They just got to go in. KT, you got to do something, and they're going to get the flash out of ShowMaker, and that allows them to pick up this Mountain Drake. But in goes Kellin, just going to go down for free. Not much that DK can do to follow up on that. The satchel is nothing. There's a wall in the way, and a huge divide might help him out, but the permafrost is coming out, and I don't think Deft is going to get away from this one. No satchel, no hope as Canyon trying to get something done here. He's got ShowMaker with a huge amount of damage, but this is 2v3, 2v4 even potentially, and they just stick around for way too long. Kiin gonna take him out with the help of BDD as Kiin is still in there, and this game is going wild now.
KT deny the dragon, but they're getting even more here. So many kills going over, and I think Dplus really bungled this one because there were so many things that went right. You push the Orianna to the fight, you force it to teleport back in, but they end up losing control of the pit itself. So much of Deft's poke doesn't actually land in the neutral fight, referring to, of course, the setup on the objective itself. And look at ShowMaker here on the edge. He's forced to flash out, so that's how you know you should be able to kind of kite your way out of here. But then for some reason, Kellin goes back in, and that's disastrous. Now your Leona's gone. You've got no peel. He could have saved Deft here if he hadn't gone in, but he did. And then permafrost just barely gets tapped. I mean, Deft so on the edge of escaping. ShowMaker uses Emperor's Divide to try to save him. So many things go through. And then Canyon thinks he can turn this with Cataclysm to give ShowMaker some additional procs here of that Leandri's and the Nashor's Tooth. But it's all gone awry. And it's a play of Kellin there again. I mean, they were going to lose the dragon, but you lost way more than you bargained for here as Dplus. And Kellin was one of the players, by the way, that we were most interested in. His performance in the World's qualifiers regionally in the LCK was part of the reason why we believed Dplus was going to do better than fans expected, even as a 4th seed. It's why so many people are saying Dplus might be back in this tournament. But so far, his performances haven't lived up to the standards of what we've seen from Kellin in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely deserves to be shouted out. And, you know, still hoping that he can turn it around. And I think, you know, there's really a fine line you got to walk when you're playing this kind of composition. It's not an easy one where you press your R button and you kill the enemy, right? Maybe for Ziggs against Xayah, but different as Kellin is going to walk in front of this one. Definitely the right place to be this time around, and will eat that ult. Does have to flash away as DK really trying to press that poke in because that's really what they got to do, but they got a Renekton behind them. They have no idea. Deft is in a lot of trouble. Satchel not going to be able to do much. Gets stunned up and killed immediately as Lehends gets into the thick of things, and KT, they're going to find the fight that they needed this entire time. Double kill already for aiming. Can he line up the penta? I'm already looking for it because we have so many. Canna, though, trying to get on in there. And unfortunately, he's just going to go down, gives the triple kill over to aiming. This game might have just ended in a couple of plays, Wolf.
It looks like it. And once again, okay, they're going to back off. They're going to play it safe. You don't want to go 0-2. I mean, 20 seconds on Deft here. He could be the savior of this game if he does, of course, survive. You see ShowMaker just pushing out that wave bottom side as Kiin gets onto this. And once again, look at the timing of this. He just barely gets in, gets the stun off, but regardless, it's Lehends. I mean, you hit that slice and dice, or rather the stun there from Renekton. Regardless, if you don't, it's still going to be a play from Lehends that wins this for you. The knockup is fantastic. Dplus just trying to hold on to their base. Didn't see the Kiin flank, not enough vision. And it all comes crashing down. The inhibitor down. Baron was up. And, I mean, Dplus, they had the Drake lead, but that's all they were hanging on to in this game. KT denied Soul, and with the advantages they have plus Baron, there's no way Dplus are going to get that Soul now.
Yeah. Red Bull Baron power play coming through in a big way for KT. That fine line has been crossed. KT in total control of this one now, about 8,000 gold in the lead. And this looks like a lot of the games we have cast in the LCK, Wolf, right? Like, this has happened before. KT finding great engages, finding fantastic flanks with Lehends and Kiin, and just ripping apart opponents that aren't able to deal with that pressure. And it's just great to see them be able to pull it off here once again on the world stage.
Lost a little bit of the power we expected from them in our top 3 in the LCK playoffs, but coming back in a big way here against Dplus. And It's almost a 10,000 gold lead here now for KT. The kill difference is massive. This is what KT is known for, one of the highest in the LCK. I'm looking for a second inhibitor here. Any picks means certain doom here for Dplus, but they've got to do something to defend these turrets. They've got good wave clear, but it's just not going to be enough.
Doesn't seem to be enough as Cuzz and Lehends looking for that engage. They'll find anyone. They're going to find Canyon as they go pretty deep for that one. The Aftershock maybe saving Cuzz, but at this point the damage not quite there on the side of DK. So that's jungler down now. Canyon not in this fight. Canna also being poked out. KT just waiting, just sitting in the base for just waiting for more waves to come in to potentially end this game. TPs are coming in.
Yeah, TP is coming in. That wave clear is buying them time, but only a little bit here. Still 75 seconds left on Baron.
It doesn't really feel like that wave clear is there as Kellin just going to be taken out on the bottom side. Lehends finds another engage, and Cuzz just trying to frontline here. The Baron buff just way too much for the Ziggs and Azir to handle, although did they overstep? BDD gets pretty low. Lehends trying to give us life for him as in they go. Canna just gets ripped to shreds. Aiming is huge.
706.
He's using that massive wallet right now to just shred through the entirety of DK's team. As Canyon, he's going to respawn, but you can't respawn your Nexus. Canyon, he's going to take the one kill. Does not matter. Aiming, and KT will rip through DK and take this game.
KT Rolster do it again. They have not lost since summer to Dplus KIA. They have had the advantage in this matchup, and in their first best of one against each other, they will take it as well. And they had such great leads in the early game. As yeah, you got to stand up, you got to fist bump. We do it in the middle of the, we do it in the LoL Park. You're doing it in Korea now at the KBS Arena. But Valdez, I mean, it felt like there were certainly ways in which Dplus could have won this game. The poke wasn't landing. They were overextending, and there was that one big fight they decided to take with Canna after getting the objective that really backfired. And I think that was the real backbreaking moment. Sure, it took a long time for the game to end after that, but it was just that much gold that went over to KT, which made it impossible to win subsequent fights. And Dplus, I mean, there was so much hype around them after the regional qualifier, but two rough losses. They're now 0-2, a Korean representative, one best-of-3 loss away from being the first Korean representative to be eliminated from the World Championship. Canyon and ShowMaker, legends of the scene, they have never missed a Worlds together. Well, they are on the cusp of getting knocked out now.
Yeah, for every winner, there is a team on the opposite side that loses the game, and you can see that ShowMaker very frustrated. BDD, very happy. I mean, this is a situation where you had a rough matchup against BLG the first game that you had, but then you unfortunately take down your Korean brothers there in DK, but that does mean that KT will move on to the 1-1 group where, I would expect them to do pretty well, even so. So, yeah, that's going to do it for us. Thank you, Wolf, for joining me on the cast. It was an absolute pleasure for our first day here at Worlds, but now we do have Worlds Cooldown with Shox and the guys there on the desk. Take it away.
Thank you so much. It was really fun hearing your first cast.
Buddy, we'll get a Buddy Cop movie out soon.
Anyways, yeah. I'm not going to say the exact words that I want to say because the KT fans might get mad at the particular wording.
KT played amazing there. They've got to be tournament favorites after that, right, Kobe?
They have to be.
You just still didn't say the
It'd
words,
be
so it's
crazy
fine.
not to put them.
Especially if they draw Cloud9, there's 0% chance for KT to win.
All jokes aside, they
Or
do look
lose,
very
excuse me.
scary. Yeah, they do look really scary. I think if you kind of compound it with how they played yesterday and put it even to BLG, even though they didn't end up winning that game, and now here, how they are so sovereign in that early game.
Yeah, I think they played it really well. They expanded the gold lead pretty massively. And against a composition that I think is pretty difficult to pilot theirs against, because the traditional answer to Xayah, which is really popular, is to outrange. So it's not only the Azir, but it's Deft bringing out the Ziggs. It's this composition that's going to be really tough to get in on. And if you're not perfect with your engages, with the way you're starting fights, you are going to get poked out. You're going to get peeled apart. But Cuzz, Lehends, Kiin were all really on point with how they were starting fights to the team.
Yeah, really nicely done here from KT. They don't make,
That was sick.
Oh my goodness. Lehends getting the basically Malphite ultimate with his Alistar here. Right into them to be able to finish it off. But they don't give back any of these big bounties that we're mounting because it could have gotten a little bit tenuous here when Domwin are stacking dragons, KT are getting all the kills, but they are racking up bounties on all their carries' heads. They finished it out cleanly, though. No need to actually worry there. I have a bit of a conspiracy, though, if you want to put on your tinfoil hat.
I'm always down.
I honestly think with Deft over on Dplus and Riot being so happy with that magnificent story that we had last time about them being the underdogs and making the whole run, now Deft actually has to go down to the 0-2 to make the full run of the gauntlet is destiny.
It's the most possible BO3s.
Yeah, they had to lose this so they could go into elimination BO3 after elimination BO3, and they can prove, you know, his saying of the unwavering willpower is the most important thing. Now we're just set up for another miracle run.
You're cooking.
Right where they wanted. Right where they wanted to be.
I love it. Amazing. We are into cooldown, and we are going to be counting down to another draw
Really?
that we
it's
have.
actually so hot in
I
here.
know it's warm.
It is
I get
toasty.
that a lot when you stand next to me. But we are, we do have we have a couple of things. It's been a long day. It's been a long 2 days. Come on, forgive us. We're going to be counting down towards that draw because we need to know our matchups for the following days. And as we do, let's recap a couple of things for today. We also have an interview in the bank we didn't show yet. It is a interview with Oscar Rinne, the top laner for Fnatic after their very first win at Worlds with Lore in the Verizon post-game interview.
And welcome back here backstage as Fnatic grabbed the first win here at Worlds. And rookie player Oscar Rinne, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
How are you feeling? Because if I want to help the viewers catching up, you could not play the summer finals. You could actually not play all the games you could have wished because of wrist issues. Is everything clear now? Are you feeling okay? Are you fully recovered?
I'm not fully recovered, but I can play without
Okay.
issues. Everything's fine, so yeah.
Okay. We'll touch on this a bit later, but the desk was just talking about this victory that was important, especially against GAM, calling it a moral, a confidence victory. Would you say this as well?
And for sure, this win was probably the most important one because if you go 0-2, it's already a confidence blow for sure. Like you will be a bit. Like it's a bit of a disaster to go 0-2 because then you have to win 3 bot threes in a row, and you can get any team, so it's a bit hard. But yeah, and going 1-1 it's nice. Yeah.
I mean, this is your first time at Worlds, but for everyone watching Fnatic playing at Worlds for a decade, nothing has ever been easy for the team. So I think we're following on the legacy of the team. But jokes aside, I know that you managed to join the team on bootcamp rather late. The rest of the players were here before you. How is it catching up? Tell me about training and getting ready for Worlds.
I mean, my team was playing like solo queue and visiting Seoul and everything for a week, and I was just in Berlin chilling. Then I came a week after, and I didn't see Seoul or didn't explore anything. I was just playing solo queue because we insta started screaming. And at the start, like I didn't play solo queue before a lot because of the injury. So I had to catch up a bit. And at the start, I was not playing super well. But I think like last weeks, I'm playing pretty well. So I'm happy with that.
Well, I hope that you and the rest of the team will stay here long enough for you to have the opportunity of discovering Seoul. But I know that for pro players, especially playing in Korea and solo queue, participating at Worlds in Korea is really important. Tell me what it means for you to be here today.
I mean, to be here today, it's like kind of dream. I think it's every player's dream. I think everyone wants to win Worlds, play them. I think everyone is thinking on winning Worlds. I think it's the biggest thing you can play or do. So I think it's amazing to be here and to be able to play against the best.
Could you believe that at the beginning of the year you were not even playing in the LEC? And now you're playing on the biggest stage ever? How do you reflect on your year, Oscar?
I think I didn't really put a lot of thought about that. Like I'm just going with the flow, just playing, and yeah, let's see what happens next. But for now, it's been really, really crazy this year. Yeah, I think I'm super happy that it's been this crazy.
It really shows. And what will you be looking to prove here at Worlds as your first time participation?
I mean, I don't really have a lot of expectations, but I just want to play as good as I can, and yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
Welcome to World Championship, and good luck on the next games.
Thank
and
you.
Shocks, back to you.
Thank you so much. Lovely to hear from Oscar. He was, well, who wouldn't be? He was so bummed. He didn't get to go to the season finals, of course, as a competitor. That just hit so hard because it's a great achievement. So I'm happy that he gets his chance here at the World Championship.
Absolutely. And it worked out that Wonder was able to sub in and do so well to help them get here. You know, everything kind of did.
It worked out.
All work out, yeah.
Yes. Will it work out in the draw for everyone involved? Or, in my case, for the EU teams? Let's see.
Depends on your opinion of what working out is.
Exactly. Let's take a look at the Swiss bracket. Do you want to roll us through some possibilities? Because the draw will be coming up pretty soon. We'll be drawing all the opponents for tomorrow's games to start, which is the qualifying games.
Yeah, tomorrow will be those 2-0 games. I am personally really looking at the 1-1 pool, though, and praying for the double NA versus EU. I think that would be such fun matches if we do get, you know, Energy Mad, C9 Fnatic, this type of thing would be really, really exciting. We could even get triple because we could have TL versus BDS in the 0-2. I hope we're not denied all of them. I hope we'll at least get some. But to me, that's what I'm really hoping for because I think that would be the most even matches and, as a Western fan, the most exciting.
If that happened, then I would definitely prefer that we mix the other teams. So you're saying if we get 2 NA-EU matches, then I would definitely not want any more region kill. I've had enough of the region kill, so I would like to mix up the LPL, LCK
You're gonna
teams
make
for the other ones.
BLG play KT again?
You're
sick.
Fine, you can do it the other way, but as long as it's not region kill.
There's also, I mean, if we had only like a 0.86% of scenarios in which the 5 team or the region matchups happen, there's no way, right, that it would happen
well,
again.
Now there is.
She sounds like she's trying to do that.
First the referee, now you?
Surely,
it was so funny how people were like, "Oh, this guy, you have to be careful." Like, hey,
wait, is that the same referee up there? I'm
yes,
glad,
the head referee.
Glad he got out of here okay yesterday.
Yeah, he had EU bodyguards.
Yep.
It was the head ref.
Saw that one.
For sure. No, interesting for sure. I think it's, as you were saying in the green room, it's a really cool addition also that you get to work up to this moment every night. I'm definitely nervous again.
It's exciting. I mean, this format has been great because every day it feels like the matches are so incredibly important, and the end of day every day, you are really sweating because it is different. The amount of teams that you can play teams that are top favorites in the 1-in-1 group now, or you can play a team that you feel pretty comfortable against.
Yeah, and someone like Dplus, who's then could be in their last chance in their best of 3. They only have 1 chance. If you're in the 1-1, you have 2 chances. If you're in the 2-0, you actually have 3 chances. You could lose the next one, you could lose the next one, but then who knows who you're up against in that last one? And those are some exciting possibilities.
They certainly are. Everybody wants to get out as early as possible so they don't have to deal with some of the scarier possibilities.
Yeah, like a week and a half off. It's crazy.
Yeah, I am just praying that for KT and BLG's sake that they don't have to have that rematch because I think that would feel so bad if you're.
It was so fun to watch though. That game was.
It was, but imagine you're KT and you play BLG and you lose again, and now you're in the elimination rounds, only losing to 1 team.
And maybe
KT are used to being salty. It's fine.
It looks like we might be getting in the draw soon in just a second, and we will go through everything again as well. Welcome everybody here in the arena. We've got a lot to draw. We'll explain it in just a second. But yeah, I'm definitely nervous. I think all the teams, even if they've played earlier, they are glued to their screens, and maybe we get some reaction cams as well.
I mean, this is your year on the line
in
here
those
for
little
a lot
bags.
of these teams, right? Exactly. There are teams. Everyone is sitting there with bated breath, praying for the matchups that they really want, praying to avoid some of the tournament favorites that are somehow falling down into these so-called easy rounds of the Swiss bracket.
Definitely so. Today's games, they resulted in 4 teams being divided into those with 2 wins and 0 losses, the 2-0 pool, with 1 win and 1 loss, the 1-1 pool, and those with 0 wins and 2 losses, the 0-2 pool. The draw will determine the matchups between teams with the same number of wins. The first draw will be the 2-0 pool, the second draw will be the 1-1 pool, and the last draw will be the 0-2 pool. Reminder for viewers that the match order for tomorrow's games will not be decided before later today. And we were a little confused yesterday, but today we know the opponents are drawn immediately. So whatever first team gets drawn, opponent right after that.
And for both of the 2-0 and the 0-2 group, the first draw decides the second draw, right? Because if we do get, LNG, JDG, we already know it's going to be G2 versus Gen G and so on and so forth. So, you know, for both of those, that first draw shows us the whole thing.
Exactly.
I think G2, you're probably looking at you want the LNG pick.
Yes.
Yeah, Cloud9 was really close against them.
The cheers for the head ref. They remember.
I actually love this ref because there is
So
no
stoic.
reaction after
No.
any pick. He's just stone-faced.
Yeah. Like, I'm here to do a job, and I don't
matter
care what you all
yeah.
think
Yeah.
and what you're all going to say.
There's no bias, no nothing.
I think at least going into this very first one, yeah, maybe you would say for a G2 and LNG, but there's no easy matchups there. You know, these are the best teams in the tournament so far.
Exactly. Well, and honestly, they were the top 3 that pretty much everyone I talked to coming into the tournament, right? You know, I had it JDG, Gen.G, LNG in that order, but those are the tournament favorites that you think can win the whole thing.
Yeah.
So there's no easy matchup, but if G2 gets them,
There you go.
if G2 can win in this round, that speaks a lot about their chances to go deep in this tournament. So G2 has been drawn, and we're about to see now the team that you see next will be their opponent.
Their first possible chance to qualify out of this stage into the next one, and it
Is it
is...
gonna be?
Have a guess. Have a gander.
JDG. It's JDG. I
JDG!
The crowd popped off.
I'm trying to
Beavers
remember if we saw this at MSI or not, because I'm so running low right now. Are we?
You can't ask me questions.
I can't remember. I
after
can't remember.
12 hours
so,
on the show.
Next up, we then have JDG LNG.
And
That's
goodness.
another region one.
We just saw back-to-back best-of-5s that went all 5 games between JDG and LNG.
Yes.
JDG won both, but both Kobe and I agreed that LNG probably should have won some of those series.
They
were in
definitely
great
could have.
positions.
They definitely could have. They were so close in so many of them. There were comebacks in these games as well. Yes, I'm excited to see actually
What a
another
unique
go-around.
opportunity for LNG to do something huge.
I mean, if they can take down JDG, I think that changes the whole narrative around the story, because I do think people are looking at, okay, JDG are the clear favorite, despite how close their series were. You know, you do have to give the odds to JDG. It just feels like this is their meta, this is their year. They have been unstoppable all year long.
Oh,
but
so these matchups
are great.
These matchups are insane too, because
So
you're
great.
going down lane by lane, and
Yeah.
everything is just popping. Like we get Yike versus Peanut, absolute massive jungle matchup here. Caps versus Chovy.
Look at the reaction cams were my favorite part of
They were
yesterday.
amazing, yeah. I mean,
Keep
the
going.
Korean fans were really excited seeing that G2 draw for Gen.G, so maybe they're praying for G2. I don't know, G2 is probably praying for LNG, but
Everyone's probably praying for G2, actually.
But this is a really tough match either way, and now we're going to be moving into the 1-1 teams.
Oh, it's so
there
exciting.
are 8 total teams to draw here. Energy, the
Nice.
first one.
all right.
Come on, EU.
Let's get-
Come on, EU.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Come
What do
on,
we got?
NA versus
let's go.
EU
Let's
matches.
go. And they're thinking, no.
Would you be happy or sad if it was NA versus NA?
I'd
be sad. I want something different.
I've had enough region.
Yeah.
Reverse
Too much region kill.
Let's
Give me EU.
show me Mad Lions. Show me. Called it. Boom.
High fives on
Let's
the
go.
No, but they're seeing their future, right? They're thinking.
Yeah, we want those teams.
Yes.
We want them.
Also,
I
yeah.
literally made a handshake deal with Vedians earlier today. We have footage of it on camera.
It's true.
When we promised
Maybe
for
we
this.
can get it
Well,
later.
The Korean fans and the Chinese fans, they don't want BLG versus KT
No,
again.
they
That's
don't.
such a hard matchup.
I do.
Team
Team
one,
one.
here we go.
Okay.
Now everyone's kind of quaking. You know,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, nope, I'll pass on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Give me a
Look at this. Oh,
look at the
tension.
prayers. Momentus unfazed.
Yeah, it's not
I
gonna break his
love
sweat.
it.
Totally fine. It's like, yes, I'm getting the job done, and it is C9.
This is such a classic matchup.
It
C9
is.
always seems to run into T1, but at Worlds, T1 never loses
The
to
KBS
NA.
Arena is really happy. I'm just saying.
Berserker used to study with T1
Oh.
on the academy team.
What a historical Worlds matchup.
It is, it is.
Wow.
But really tough now for Cloud9. They're going to be so sad because Cloud9 narrowly, you know, missed out on
But
on
Team
beating.
Liquid narrowly almost won versus T1. So
Yeah, it's possible.
Anyway,
it's possible.
next up, Weibo.
We got Weibo. Weibo has been looking good. They almost took down G2 and they crushed
What
the
are they
first
saying?
game.
I don't want BLG here. I don't want to.
Hey,
Okay, nice.
That's a banger matchup.
Wait, but does that mean we get BLG?
Yeah. BLG is left.
BLG and
BLG is
Fnatic.
Yeah,
That's it.
Fnatic,
That's
yeah.
it.
Yep.
Oh, that's not. That's suboptimal.
Well, we got T1, so it's not looking
Yeah,
that much easier.
honestly, we got each other, and then we each got the hard one.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
fair.
yeah.
Fair is
Okay.
fair.
We got
Next
an
up.
easy one, each other, and a
Yeah,
hard one, someone other than
Next
each
up.
other.
BLG.
But it's a big jump up for Fnatic. I mean,
BLG
obviously,
versus Fnatic.
Fnatic had a pretty one-sided loss in their first game. They did handle business against GAM today, but it's a big jump up
It's
in
a
terms of
huge
level
jump.
of competition. So
Wow.
they're going to have to really rise to the occasion.
Especially for Oscar. I
Yeah.
mean, he's had such a year, but being able to get here and then now going versus Bin, that is going straight to
Can
the top.
I say, for the best of threes in this, we get a little bit of everything. We get an EU versus NA. We get a historical T1 C9. We get a cross-regional in the LPL
Why are you
versus
so excited?
LCK
Stop
as
that.
well.
That's Cloud9. That's a hard team. Get less excited.
No, I really love the draw out of the one-on-one pools.
Yeah.
I think it's nice. I think there's something there for everyone. Of course, every
Yeah.
respective
There's
fan
some
will
wins
be...
and some losses. There's something
Exactly.
there for everyone.
Yes. Now, also...
50-50 chance. You could win or you could lose every matchup.
Super important draw now. Also, this will be played in 3 days.
Yeah.
It will be
This is
the
your
last
tournament
chance.
life.
Your tournament life.
And
Who will you
for-
play?
This is also episode 1 of season 2 of Deft's
Possibly. Possibly.
crazy
The
story.
last dance.
Yeah.
Part 2, the redemption, the final season.
Learning the tango. Yeah, it's
Going a full attack
Okay.
on Titan.
Let's
Now,
Kia.
everyone is praying that it is not them now. You know, TL is down there, BDS is down there, and GAM is down there. You
Is there-
do not want to be the next team drawn. You are praying that it's not you right now. Come on, Kobe, not TL, not TL, not TL. Oh, we get GAM. Okay. All is fair. Europe got GAM once. Now we get GAM.
Yeah, I'm ready
what-
for the threads when that does not work out for you.
This
I'm
It
just
has
saying
happened to us a lot of times.
This is
I'm
a
kidding.
full
Oh my
narrative
God.
matchup here. What's stronger, Adam and the Gods synergy there,
the
or is it
Gods.
Deft Part 2?
Wow, that's amazing.
Make the underdog run.
Team Liquid.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. TL could definitely lose the game. I mean, GAM was in a pretty good spot against a Fnatic earlier today. But the reality is, if
Yeah.
you lose to them,
Yeah, you're out.
you deserve to be out, right?
That's a good
just
point.
the reality of it at the end of the day. BDS, a really rough draw for them. But DK, they are going to be, I think, pretty down on themselves. And if there's a team, I think, to just kind of go crazy, play their own game, play their own style, I think it's BDS.
I would also say though, if there is a player on your team that can keep the morale high even when you're losing, it's gonna be Deft for sure. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that should be like they should be able to keep it.
I'm buying stocks in the
Together.
the lower, well, the 0-2 to 2-2 to possible redemption into the bracket stage. I can
For
see
DK?
a road.
For which one? D
For
plus?
D+, yeah. And I think for BDS also, like, they were in a situation where they went through the World's Qualifying Series, through the planes, the reverse sweep, and they've always been dealt a more difficult hand as they went forward. So, you know, it's kind of to be expected, and they were always going to be up against a mountain, and, you know, take a crack at it. I won't count you out before you start.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no one should. I think, you know, Adam in particular has impressed so many people, has made so many fans here. You know, you want to see them play their style, play confident. I think that's what we really want from all these teams in the elimination series, is that you're down 0-2. You got to give it your best. Don't leave anything on the table. And remember, it is a best of 3, so there is going to be that adaptation game to game, which I think is really one of the fun parts about Worlds. And we're getting into that best of 3 stage so much faster than we normally get into the best ofs.
Yeah, it's the
Gentlemen's
bomb.
agreement. Don't ban Garen.
Fair. All right.
Let Adam.
No Garens will be banned.
If you're going to eliminate Adam, let him at least play a Gods
Yeah.
champion
It's
when you
true.
do it.
Say, I misspoke earlier because I think I said best of 3s for the 1-on-1s, but obviously they're playing another best of 1 until they get to 2-1 or to 1-2. I got too excited
I'll
for a
accept
best
your
of 3.
resignation. I
Yeah,
will accept
yeah.
it. So
I was
You had a good run, Shocks.
no,
but
but
you
I
know,
was so excited for a best of 3 between Madden and RG.
we can still have that.
Yeah, I would
That
really
can
excited
come
for that.
later.
Anyway, this is the bracket. Wow, take it all in, guys.
it actually looks great to me. Today's
looks
draw,
amazing.
especially after we had so many region matchups. This one, there's a lot of variety here.
Yeah, it is really, really good. The 1-on-1 matches, to me, are my favorite draw. I think that is going to be really, really exciting. We have all kinds of different regional matchups. We have no reach and kill in 1-on-1 across all 4 of those matchups. They seem like they can be competitive. They seem like they can be really exciting.
Okay, what do you say I send this off? It's been a good day, right?
Okay, time to sleep.
We're not going to do a podcast, you know, maybe a couple hours.
Not right now.
Should we recap?
We get a
break
Wait.
down some of the games.
Wait, I do need to remind people of the fact that we will be starting 2 hours later tomorrow. That's midnight PDT and 9 a.m.
This
CEST.
time, though, it's just really a human
Yeah, and
construct. What does it
tomorrow
mean?
we will play the 2 and 0 matches, the best of 3s. So the qualification matches possibly already for the bracket stage. So that is super, super exciting. And with that, I am going to sign you off. Is there anything I forgot? Probably that there will be a rebroadcast, but also that we'll be
You
back
love
tomorrow.
The LCS. You're cheering for
I
them with all
what?
your
My
might.
brain is not.
Nobody
that
gets
behind
eliminated
right
tomorrow, so tomorrow is
It's
still
fun.
happy. It's
That's
fine.
an absolute
Fun.
win.
It's
And
a
NA's going
fun day.
undefeated tomorrow.
True.
True.
I love you guys. We're gonna sign off. Thank you so much for bearing with us over these last 2 days and 16 games of bonkers fun. There's a lot more left to come, so get some sleep, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye.
2 hours later.
In the flash? Yep. Nice job, mid.
Nice, man.
With the burn, it soon feels like the reality. Tongue lash out over the wall. Gobbled up. What did he taste like? A free kill.
Okay, look. Do you have ult? Do you have ult? Okay, okay.
Nice, nice.
Looking,
Yeah,
looking,
no
looking.
flash, no flash.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Give
Hey,
ult.
big ult, big ult, big ult, big ult.
Nice.
Hey, look at you, look at you, look at you. Look at you. Go, no, kill. He's dead, he's dead.
Nice.
Go back there.
Free hitting for the time being, but not too much damage. It's the flashing from Tarzan
Ziggs!
the kick. Ziggs gets the 3-man. And the rookie from the LPL should not be given jacks ever again.
Yeah, no flash fire, okay?
Yeah, and Ali. He's dead, no? He's dead.
Nice.
Good job, JC. That was deep here.
Land by the way.
Huh?
Another flash, well.
Nice job. Good job. Come to me.
Oh, look. He's dead. Nice. Nice, guys.
Azir.
Hey, bot and bot.
Let's go, guys.
Fight here.
Holy
Bot and bot.
we played the game, guys.
Welcome back to my team, brother. I don't abandon my top laners for Xayah. Caddy changes the landscape of the fight, but Slater repositions.
You can go, I give you speed.
We're going on Cassante.
Look at Sejuani, Marek.
Careful, Kaisa Noah. Cassante here, Cassante behind, Cassante. Don't.
Ganas.
Yeah, I mean, just trying to get some of that. Look at that. He blocks the cannon with his body.
He knows Chovy's #1 weakness is he needs CS more than anything.
Guma will be able to flash away from this one, and there's the ultimate just ticking down. And the chase, it's really difficult to get away from this. Akali hits the shuriken. Ult once again, and this time it looks like he might just get out, but no, dominated on the top side. And yes, missing is going to go down, but GDG, they're just playing with their food. They don't even need to fight BLG at this point. He wants to take the 2-0 for G2. He doesn't have a health bar, though. And
My heart can't take this, guys.
This is too
My
insane.
heart cannot take this.
For him as in they go. Ghana just gets ripped to shreds. Saving is huge. Here comes the wombo combo. They find Wei. Is it enough? And Xiaohu goes in, but yikes, he perfectly
Let's
is
go!
able to get it done.
No.
Yes!
Nice.
Oh my god! Do it! Oh my god! Let's go! Nice!
Nice.
Nice!
Elda.
Nice.
What's your play?